Hey, Emil, that pisses me off. I hate that when it does that, especially right in the middle. We're right in the middle. You screwed it up by coming in late. No, I don't think so, Sandy. Hey, Paul, back in. Bobby's back. Mary's here. Kathy, Dale from Ohio. Yeah, it's irritating. You have no stop. That really irritates me when it does that. Really, really irritates me, especially when we're got a good subject and we're talking about the subject. Um, Unbelievably annoying. So we'll give it just a minute, let some people get back in here, and then we'll continue discussing stuff. So Janet's back in here 1 second after. Kimbo, Marcence, Jane from Tennessee, Wishika's here. All right. Uh, it's because people hit the like button. I don't think that's what did it. Donna says I found my way back in. Very good. All right, we'll just pick up where we left off here, okay? So we're going to talk lone wolf preppers, right? So again, we talked about you can't stay up 24 hours a day, right? You can't get everything done that you need to get done by yourself. If it's you, your wife, couple of kids, all right? The big thing to talk about with that is what happens if you get sick or if you get hurt. There's not anybody there to trolls have figured out how to crash the feed. I don't know. I don't know, Emil. I have no idea. I don't know what the heck was going on or why that's happening. I would hope not. But anyway, um, you know, if you get sick or you get hurt, who picks up the slack, right? And again, if you're by yourself, you are an easy target. You're an easy target because a group of 20 or 40, let's even go with 40. If it's you, your wife, and the kids, you can't beat everybody. You might get a couple of them, that very well. You may get a couple of them, but you're not getting everybody. So those are a couple of the downfalls of that. And again, it doesn't have to be a gang, folks. It could be your neighbors. All right, they know that you have stuff. They see the smoke coming out of your chimney. They see that you're not starving to death. That all those type of things, and now they're going to feel entitled to what you have. So you got to think about those things as well. Okay, so those are really, really important. Now, being in the country, you may get away with that. Okay, for a year, might get away with it for 2 years, but eventually that's going to be your downfall because you're going to get sick, you're going to get hurt, something is going to happen, and you're going to let your guard down. You're going to think, okay, well, we're okay now. Enough time has gone by, and then that bigger group that's rolling through, looking for supplies and looking to take what they can take, they're going to come up on you. Um, you know, Maybe the bigger the group, the less attractive target you are. No, absolutely not, Joe. That won't be the case because they'll be looking for anything that they can get to use to have, and they will roll in on people that are not. They'll pick off easy targets. That's what they're going to be looking for, is easy targets. So that's something that you got to think about. You know, that's another thing too. So what do we got? 156 already in here. Again, 50 thumbs up. So if you haven't shot one up yet, please, guys, do so to show support. I do appreciate that. Again, also, again, it really does make a huge difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction, the better for the channel. Yeah, desperate people will do desperate things no matter what. Absolutely. I've always said this in a true S.H.T.F situation. I said good people will have to do bad things. Okay, that's a fact. Bad people will do evil things, and that's also a fact. You look at how we are as a society now with rule of law. And I want you to think about that because this is a big part of this, okay? Look at how we treat each other now with rule of law. When there are no rules, what do you think people are going to do then? Now there will be people that will have their own moral code that they have made a decision they're not going to do X, Y, or Z. But there will be people out there to go, what? No rules? Cool. I can do whatever I want, and there's nobody going to do anything about it. And that's a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are going to do that. All the weird depraved people that have their dark thoughts and do want to do whatever they want to do, they're going to do that, and that's going to happen. Okay. Talk about groups now. Somebody had asked in the first part there, when before we got twinked out there, um, how many people in a group would be a good number? That's really hard to say because it depends on how much area you have to cover. Okay. Uh, and what your goals are, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. Again, like I said, you're going to need to probably at night circle the fences, if you will, and make sure that you have the right people that can stay up at night, that can handle being up at night. You don't want the day. See, I'm a night person, so I would definitely be one of the people that would want to be up at night. There's other people that are not night people, so you got to know your people who's going to be able to handle being awake at night, who's going to stay sharp, and then and being able to get your sleep during the day and having a spot where you can go to sleep. You know what I mean? So that's really a factor in it as well. There is safety in numbers, very very important too. Yeah, bigger group means more food and water. Exactly, Watcher. But that's why with this window of opportunity that we have now, that's why you continue to prepare and get ready, because when that time comes, okay, you are you are ready to go. I'm going to give you a couple examples of what we do with our group. Okay, everybody that's a member of the group has to have a minimum. Notice how I say a minimum of a 3 month supply of food on site at all times. So that's number one. Now you may think, well, 3 months, that's a lot of food. Absolutely not. That's not even close to enough food. Okay, but for each member, for each person that they plan on bringing, they need to have at least a 3 month supply of food. Now, what we also do as a group, members put in so much a month into group food. Okay, so what happens then? We pool that money, and then we go out and we get food that is for the group, which we keep a very accurate inventory of what we have for group food, for everybody. So that's important as well. That's a huge factor in it, because this way, instead of you as an individual going, okay, I got to get this, that, the other thing, but if you have a group money pooled together, now, and I'll give you, we'll make up a number. Let's say you have a group of people and people pool in and you got $400 a month. We'll use that as a number, right? $400 a month, you can buy a lot of food. You can buy a lot of food, long-term food, rice, beans, all those type of things. And then you can expand it from there and get other things. Once you get up to a certain number that you feel sort of comfortable with, then you go from there. But rice and beans should be probably tops, because they're long-term food storage things. Getting your sugars, getting your honeys, all those type of stuff. Because yeah, JJ said, and at some point group supplies will dwindle to nothing. Exactly. So what you're looking to do, okay? So again, so we have so much that we put towards that, and so that, believe it or not, that ends up adding up really, really quickly, really quickly. Because we just started doing that this last year, and we got a lot of food already, group food, not counting everybody with their 3 month supply for each person that they plan on bringing. All right. So the other thing, which you're gonna the game plan, your game plan should be, and this is what our game plan is. When SHTF happens, we all come here. We plan on laying low. We're not going to be out foraging, out looking to get more supplies. Hopefully, we'll be in a good enough position that we have everything that we need here. That's what we want to make sure of. We have our stuff here, that we don't have to be wandering out. We'll have enough to do, trust me, here, to keep us busy for a good long time, because that's the what the idle hands are the devil's workshop, right? So if you're busy and you have things that you're working on to make things better for everyone, you're going to be not thinking about all the other stuff. Okay, so that's important. That's really really important. The safety in numbers that when a group, say, is coming through, and let's go with that group of 40. Let's go with that group of 40. They're going to be looking for easy targets. If they come up against an organized group that knows what they're doing, that is prepared, that's ready, that's got defensive places entrenched, um, and they're giving them that resistance, they're going to move on. They're not going to. They're going to realize that it's not a good thing for them to try to take that group because they're ready. So they're going to go on to something else. Again, the other things what you're looking for always is advantages. When it comes to S.H.T.F, you're always looking for advantages. That's why, to me, high ground is so important. Valleys are beautiful and it's better growing sometimes in valleys, which is great. But then you're dealing with flooding and that type of stuff and being an easier target. If I own the high ground, you got to come up, you got to come up to me. So it's not like, if I'm sitting up here and you got to come up this big old hill, like you've seen some of the ravines that I have around my property. We're sitting on some pretty high ground. I mean, it's like 400 feet down to the creek, and then to the creek, then it goes up 400 feet the other way to wherever else. So it's not like you just step off the road and you can come in and everything's fine. It's not going to be that easy. So those are things that you have to think about too. Location, location, location. I think that that's really really important. Now with that, okay, you got to have water. You got to have water. Our goal is have enough supplies that we're going to be okay. But when that happens, you know, from day one, there would be rationing. So it's not like we're all going to be eating like kings every single day. No, stop, baby, stop. We're going to be rationing from day one. That's number one. So it's going to be organized meals. We eat probably like twice a day, is what my guess would be. And then you just you be paying attention to your surroundings, getting wood, doing all those different things that you need to do. So what do we got? 224 in the chat. We got 92 thumbs up so far. So again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, please do so to show support for the channel. I do appreciate that. Also, again, it really does make a huge difference with the algorithm. So the more interaction, the better. So I do appreciate it for that way. Also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. And again, I thank you for that as well. Being well stocked is easier also if you have a group. So you're looking at gasoline, you're looking at propane, medical supplies, food, ammo, guns, seeds, growing materials, all those type of stuff. That is important. That is really important. So you have to think about those things and try to prepare for them the best way that you possibly can. So you have to be organized. You have to be squared away. You got to realize that the supplies are not going to last forever. So what I really like, and that was a group member that had suggested that we all pony up so much each month and then go buy group food, which I thought was phenomenal. Because I will tell you, right, me personally, I have a ton of food, okay? But again, that's only going to last so long. That's only going to last so long. So with what about a person that can't take care of a medical emergency? Well, you better get with some people that can. That, Delbert, I mean, you need to have somebody that has a medical background. I don't care if it was being a CNA. What I explained to people before was this: I'm a nurse, okay? When S.H.T.F happens, I'm now a doctor. Because of my background, I'm going to be the one that's going to have to take care of things. And I have other people in my group that are in the medical field as well. So together, we would work on organizing stuff like that, and being ready to deal with sickness, ready to be dealing with gunshots if we had to deal with that, and those type of things. Again, another thing that's important that I want you guys to think about too: isolation, right? If you got somebody that's sick and it's got the flu in an SHTF situation, you can't let that go traveling through the whole group and then everybody gets sick. You need to have a building or some area that you are isolating people so that they can rest and get better. And see, there's another key to having a group. Okay, huge advantage of having a group. If Charlie is sick and he's hurt and he can't do his part, there's enough other people to pick up the slack so that he can rest and he can recover. I want you to think about the people that are coming, Ed, and be prepared to see dead bodies at some point and get used to it. Oh yeah, absolutely. Think about, and I've talked about this part of it as well. Anybody that's been in the country, you're driving, and it's a summer day, you got your windows down, and you hit the smell because you've come up on a dead animal, and that awful smell of a dead animal. Okay, well, if there's a bunch of dead people out there, and nobody's there picking up those dead bodies, nobody's there to do all that type of stuff, that smell alone is going to be unbelievable. So, those are things you need to mentally prepare for as well, because those things are going to be there. You need to be mentally prepared to do what you need to do to defend yourself and the people that you care about. Because if you can't, then you're going to be the victim. And I have no intention of being anybody's victim. I want to make sure that my people and my family are safe and squared away. That's why I've been doing what I do forever. Now, again, people like, oh, well, you live in fear and blah, blah, blah. I absolutely do not live in fear. I prepare for the worst. I hope for the best. I don't have a whole lot of faith in mankind, to be honest with you, because, I've been out there in the world. I've seen how people are and what they're willing to do and all those type of stuff. And that's under, again, optimal conditions. That's how they are now. Worst case scenario, folks, it's going to be a nightmare for a while till the herd gets thinned out. But you know, smell of death doesn't bother me. I'm used to it. Well, and that's fine. I mean, if you're used to it, that's fine. But again, like I said, when you're talking, like 6 months, 8 months down the road, and you got to go out and you're looking for certain supplies, and you may have to go into a house. Okay, you might be dealing with dead bodies, people that died in there. That smell, if they've been in a summertime and in a house, and the flies and everything else, it'll be a nightmare. I mean, it won't be pleasant at all. So, again, you have to be ready to deal with that. One of the things I want you all to think about is this too. Okay, let's say you have a group and you have a location that you're going to go to, and yeah, mask would work too, Tammy. Um, you know, if you have a location that you're going to go to, and if I get there I'll be safe, and that's great, right? Couple of things psychologically I want you to think about. Okay, every single one of us, myself included, okay, we're going to lose people that we love and care about, that are not going to make it. They're not going to get here, and there's nothing we can do about it, right? There's not one thing we're going to be able to do about it. So we're all going to lose people we love. So now you're dealing with that. So that alone, anybody that's lost, excuse me, lost a loved one, even if it's expected, it's still not easy to deal with. So an unexpected death of somebody that shouldn't be dying, um, you know, psychologically, that's a tough thing to process at that point in time. Now, the second part, okay, your bug out location right now, like when my people come down here, it's a nice getaway for them right now. It's awesome. They can come down. They come down for the weekend, come down for a couple extra days. They work on stuff. We work on group projects together, and then they go home, right? And then they go back to their normal life. Well, in an S.H.T.F situation, now they're here all the time. They're not going anywhere anymore. They're here, period. That's it. There's no more going home. So now you got to adjust to this, where before you didn't have to. Okay, so that's a huge adjustment as well. And then the third adjustment you're going to have to deal with is people coming to try to take what you have. So now you got to be on heightened alert at all times. You can't let your guard down, because when you let your guard down, Yvonne, if you're buffering, it's not buffering, I don't think, for anybody else. So jump out and come back in. Try that. So um, all the mag is within 7 miles of each other, and we have comms to be able to contact them. That's awesome, Tammy. That's awesome, and that's good. You need to have that. So, but anyway, you really gotta you you what you try to do is you try to think of every scenario. Okay, so you're adjusting to something new, brand new, realistically, because now it's all the time. And again, that's going to depend on how prepared you have your place, right? If you've been slacking and you're going, oh well, I got time. I'll work on this later. I'll work on that later, and you're not taking care of those things. That's why last fall I was really pushing my group to get their buildings squared away, get them insulated, get your wood stoves in, get your water set up. Okay. And we have the tanks down here, right? We got all these tanks down here. Some people have gutters, some people don't. Some people have their systems set up, like Mark has his system set up, other people don't. So, if you have the supplies here, it can be worked on later. But it would be much easier of a transition if you have your place squared away, set up. It's insulated. You got a wood stove in there. You got wood ready. That's another thing that we got to do as a group. Get wood sheds built. Get wood supplies for those people that have their wood stoves in already. In doing that, there's so much that has to be done. But to be able to make the transition as less stressful as possible, I think is really important. So if you're building a squared away, you got it insulated, you got your siding up, you got your kitchen set up, you got supplies down there that you want for your own stuff. And then we have the group area where we would be eating and stuff like that. So that's ready to go. And we got a lot to still do in the pavilion, and it's not even close to being where we want it to be yet. But so there's a lot to it that has to be done. Again, like I said, this year we have a lot of plans to try to get things done. What we got to really do is simplify things. This month we're working on this. Next month we're working on this next project, and just methodically check things off the list. All right, and that doesn't mean you just do one project. You can have a couple of people working. A good example. Rob has some cabinets that he needs to bring down for the Wolf's Lair. I'm sorry, the Raven's Nest. Um, Great chat tonight. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Thank you very much, and thank you for the donation as well. So he brings those down. So we can have like two guys working on putting cabinets into the Raven's Nest, right? Because we want to get cabinets in there, get some countertops in there, so that we can make it easier for all of us when we are getting together for cooking and preparation and cleanup, and be able to have stuff underneath to put away. So it's in a more secured location as well. Because you guys have seen, I've showed you that we've had mice in the Raven's Nest. It happens. I'm in the country. You're going to get, unless I have get a bunch of cats down here, which I do. I would do want cats eventually as well. But these are things that need to be, squared away, taken care of. Securing things. That's why when we buy supplies, we got the 50-gallon barrels, because the mice and the rats are not chewing through steel barrels. So we got the 50-gallon barrels and we have our food supplies in those, they're going to be another layer of protection. And that's important as well. So might sound bad, but we need some sort of reset. This system cannot just stay like this forever. It doesn't sound bad, Nick. I've talked about that a lot. Part of me, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys, okay? Part of me is like, let's just get it on. Let's just get it over with. Let's have S.H.T.F happen while I'm still young enough to deal with it and stuff like that. But then, of course, the rational part of my brain says we need more time. We need to be more ready than we are right now. And each month that we get to put ourselves in a better situation for when that time comes, the better off we're going to be. So now here's the other scenario I wanted to talk about real quick, because people have said, well, what if nothing ever happens? Okay. So if nothing ever happens, we have a beautiful property here that once it's all done the way we want it, right? Which it'll never be done. I'll just put it that way too. It'll never be done. But let's say we got everybody's building is squared away and they got themselves all set up and they got wood sheds and they got their wood stoves and they got their water supply and everything is good to go that way. Lots of food, lots of medical supplies, lots of ammo, lots of guns. Everything is all set. We're ready to rock, right? And nothing ever happens. Every one of my members has a place that they can come down to, not just one weekend a month, but anytime that they want to. And they say, hey, Ed, I'm taking a week's vacation. I want to come down and hang out in my cabin. Yeah, come on down. I say it all the time. Anybody says to me, hey, I got extra days off. I want to come down early. Come down early. Like Rob's coming down early. Okay. And so, and that's okay. Anytime, because we are a group of people. We're a family. We're looking out for each other. And it doesn't mean that I'm only looking out for them one weekend a month. It goes beyond that. People have health issues. People have stuff going on in their lives. One of our guys had a knee replacement, so he hasn't been able to come down for several months. Well, that's part of what happens. We're not holding that against him because that's something that he doesn't have control over. So he's not going to be here this month, but next month he said I'm gonna be ready to go. I'm working on my rehab, and I'll be ready to go, and I'll be coming back down. So again, there's a lot that goes into it that you guys don't see. You might see us get together, you see a bunch of people here, but the dynamic of it is life still happens, things are going to happen, but we all have a game plan. you know when the time comes, they're all come here. So I'll give you a great example. Like January, we canceled January's get together because the weather was so bad, and it was bad. All right, so I just was like, listen, don't anybody come, just stay home, don't worry about it. Because a lot of people had said, well, the weather's real bad and I can't get out, and I'm like, so we just made the call that we're just canceling January. If S.H.T.F happened January 10th after the get together, you think they'll find their way down here? Absolutely, they'll find their way down here because that's the worst case scenario. You do what you have to do, you prepare for it, you get ready for it, and you take care of your business. That's the reality. That's the reality. But like I said again, that is there a fire plan in case of dry conditions? We haven't really dealt with that very much, because we really only have one period of the year where it gets pretty dry down here. But we've talked about, again, like if we have all the water totes and everybody's water, that has a tote, um, on their building, that can be utilized for helping to deal with fires if that happened, and clearing out brush and making sure that you're not got a lot of dry stuff. We're not California here. We're not leaving everything down in the woods. We're going to go ahead and clean stuff up. Real life said funny can come true right quick. Absolutely. I mean, I honestly, my opinion, the way that it's going to go down, folks, way it's going to go down is this: 1 minute everything's fine, the next minute the lights are out and they're not coming back on. And again, you need to have a game plan. Again, so going back to JJ had asked about, everybody always hears about the golden horde coming out of the cities, right? Most people are going to stay with close to what they're familiar with. That's what they're going to do. That's why a lot of people will hunker down wherever they are and try to ride it out, which, again, if you're in the city, if you're in suburbia, not a good idea, because your long-term survival is not going to happen in those type of situations. Especially if you are prepared, it makes you a target. That's a key. Okay, even out here, right? If people know that we're ready and that we're prepared, that may make us a target. But the reality is, out here, most people are more civil, so they may come and ask for help instead of coming and trying to take, especially if you have an organized, well armed group that is willing to defend what is theirs. You have to think about those things. So we got 245 in the chat, guys. We're at 128 on the thumbs up. So again, real quick, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, I'm going to ask you to do so to show support for the channel. And I appreciate that. Also, it really makes a huge difference with the algorithms. And also, again, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. and I thank you for that as well. We learned fire is a prepper's home's worst nightmare. Even shingles will burn. Absolutely, absolutely, and that's one of the reasons down here everything is metal roofs. We've done metal roofs on everything. You know, in a worst case situation, if there was fires, we do have our plan to have a lot of things underground, and that's another thing. It's another contingency plan that you got to think about, right? Because if there was, let's say we ended up in a world war, well, planes could come down and they could rake everything above ground, but they can't rake everything underground, and they're not always going to know you know, where you have stuff underground. They're not going to be able to detect that unless they got ground penetrating radar, and that's generally not going to be the case, But again, having things prepared and ready, it just gives you an advantage. You know what I mean? So those are things that you need to think about, and it's just it is a process. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to think about. But again, when that time comes, remember, I want you to remember a couple of things, okay? And this is important. Most people who do not have a game plan, most people do not have a game plan. So they're going to panic right from the word go. If you don't panic, if you act and not react, okay, that's important as well. You got to be able to be ready, know what your game plan is, know what you're going to do, and just put that into motion. The longer you run around mashing your hands and, oh my God, this is here, what are we going to do now, and all those type of things, the longer you do that, you're wasting time. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, you get to your bug out location, you're with like-minded people. The advantage that you're going to have is several. You're going to be able to hopefully get regular sleep. That's really, really key. Keeping your mind sharp, keeping rested, and being able to be well fed. That's another key, again, because when that time comes, most of the people that are going to come to try to take your stuff are going to be getting lot less sleep. They're not getting regular sleep. They're probably going to be hungry. They're going to be malnutritioned and those type of things. And so they're not thinking clearly. They're not physically ready. Where if your mind is sharp and you're rested and you have the high ground, it's the advantages. Again, you're just looking for advantages. Again, the key, in my opinion, when it comes, you get to your bug out location, you hunker down, you take care of the stuff that you need to take care of as a group. Like one of the things that we would be doing huge here is processing wood. Day one, we would have wood crews going out and processing wood, because now all of a sudden, let's say we have 50 people here full time, right? Think about the dynamic of that. 50 people here full time, drinking, eating, using the toilets, all those type of things. Uh, you know, Tensions will be high. Exactly. Tensions are going to be very, very high. People are going to be on a hair trigger, and that's the other thing. Most people are going to be ready to shoot first and ask questions later. So that's another thing you need to think about. So, there's so much, the dynamic of it all is huge. And what brought me to West Virginia, it's a sparsely populated state. I went from, okay, I'll give you an example. Rochester, New York area, in the surrounding counties of the city of Rochester. There's 1 million people just there alone, okay? And I lived in Greece, which was one of the counties just outside the city of Rochester. That's where I was for a long time. So, and then I had lived right down in Charlotte, right next to the beach, for a long time before that. So we were technically in the city, even though it was more suburbia city. So we weren't like in the inner city. We were on the outskirts of the city, but it was still the city, because it was a city school district as well. But again, I lived in those areas for a long, long time. And there's like 1 million people in that area alone. The entire population of the state of West Virginia is 1.7 million people. Okay. So, and they're not all in one spot, they're spread out. So, again, the less people that you have to worry about, the better off you're going to be. Because in those cities, they're going to kill each other off pretty quickly. And it's going to get real ugly really, really fast. And so you get to where you need to be safe. It's going to just give you that advantage. You're going to be in a lot better shape. And those are things that people need to think about. So, again, I picked high ground. I wanted to be in the mountains. I wanted to be able to have a water supply. That was important. The rain catchment things that we've been doing is just another extension of what we already or what we have available here. We put a well in here already. So we got a well, we got a couple of springs, we have the rain catchment. So again, if all of a sudden your population goes from 2, right, me and Steve, to 50, there's a lot more things that have to get done and taken care of on a daily basis. So again, there would be a lot of things that we would have to do right from the very beginning, securing whatever more supplies, getting wood ready. People would be bringing stuff in if they were able to. But if they already have a bunch of stuff here, they're not dependent on what they're bringing that last trip. I would expect that everybody was going to bring as much as they possibly can, when that time comes, that last trip, if you will. Hell, stop in a minute, baby. Stop. You can go out and actually, hold on one second, guys. Come on, let's go. All right. Sorry about that. She was just getting more and more, you know. Um, but anyway, you know, lighting. Let's talk about that for a moment. After S.H.T.F, no more power, let's just say. It could be a possibility there's no power. So now how are you lighting stuff? Do you have lanterns? Do you have flashlights? Do you have rechargeable batteries from that you can recharge off of your own solar system type of things? Those are all part of the things that you got to think about as well. You know, being able to process water, to purify water. There's a key factor, folks. And I know I've talked about this before, but in a true S.H.T.F situation, more people are going to die from dysentery than any other way out there. Any other way, they're going to drink tainted water, they're going to get diarrhea, and they're going to crap themselves to death. That's what's going to happen because they have no way to stop it. They have no way to replace the electrolytes that they need to replace because they don't know what to do. They're going to see clear water and go, I'm thirsty, I'm going to drink it. And then the pathogens are going to be in there and then they're going to be screwed. You've got to be able to process that water. So the more, ways that you can do that, the better off you're going to be. So those are things you need to think about as well. So, having multiples is key. Multiples is key. So, morning light. Oh, Chris. Yeah. So, guys, if anybody's interested in being part of what we're doing down here, you can shoot me an email at preppernurse1@yahoo.com. Uh, give me your phone number. I'll call you. I'll tell you what we do. I do a vetting of anybody that wants to be part of this group, and so I'll go through that process with you. We're always looking for new members. That we are always looking for new members. So because again, safety in numbers is key. Yeah, you can make your own water filter with layers of sand, gravel, and charcoal. Yep, Okie Forge, absolutely. Yep, absolutely, you can do that. And we would probably, the way we would do it here, we would take a 50-gallon barrel and have another one underneath, and we would layer that barrel, and then you could pour that water through, filter it that way. And then what we would do after that, we would, West Virginia's too close to Washington, D.C. I wouldn't go there. But then I looked at the enemy's preemptive strike. That's public information. Yeah, you know what? It's not too close to Washington D.C. Washington D.C. would be a target if there was a nuclear attack. Absolutely. I don't think that we're looking at how many people is still there from the originals. I actually was just having that discussion today. Okay, we started out with 8 original members. All right, one passed away. Ronnie passed away. And other than that, we still have 3 of the original 8 members. So basically 50% of the people, because if Ronnie was still alive, he'd still be part of us. So 50% of the people stayed, and 50% left. You know, people. I said right from the first time we got together as a group, and there was 8 of us. I said there will be an attrition. Some of you will come in, you'll say, "Yep, this is for me," and you're never going to leave. Other people will realize, oh my God, this is actually work and it's hard and it's not easy, and they'll quit. And they did. We lost people because of that. Okay, it's too hard. I don't want to do it. It's not what I thought it was going to be. All those type of things. That happens. Now we've added other members over the course of. Yeah, Robert just missed being original. I think we started in April, and this year will be I think 3 years. This year will be 3 years. Or is it? Yeah, I think 3 years. It starts a third year this year, or is it 3 years already? I'm trying to remember. I think it's 3 years. But anyway, I think Robert came in like August or September of that first year. So he's been around, pretty early on. So and then we've had other members come in and they're here, and they're they you can tell that they want to be here because you invest. You're putting in a building, you're putting in gravel, you're getting the block, you're getting supplies, and you're getting your rain catchment, and all those type of things. So you can tell, you know, like Mark. Mark is one of the original members, and Sandy's one of the original members. Johnson's one of the original members. All three of them are still here, and all three of them have a building on site, and all three are working on their buildings on site. Two of the three already have a wood stove in, so again, it's a process, and but we have a good team. I like our team, and like I said, we're always looking to add new people if anybody's interested. And like I said, it's a lot better now than when we first started. I mean, now we got the pavilion, so we can be out of the weather if the weather's bad. When we first started coming, we had canopies. We had canopies up, and we sat under a canopy and dealt with the weather that way. That sucked. That was not fun. We cooked outside at that point because we didn't have a choice. But each month things have gotten better, and it will continue to do that. It will continue to get better. So I would be more than happy to work with you, um, but you will not dictate me. I'm not trying to dictate anybody. Rob or Chris, give me your send me an email. Give me your phone number. We can have a discussion. If it's a right fit for you and you're the right fit for us, then we can work together. I'm not dictating anybody. You know, we have a game plan that we're working on here, and we can go from there. So if you're interested, do that. That's not a problem. So yeah, Robert's going so much better than the first year. Yeah, and now people have buildings and they have places that they can go into at the end of the day, and they're not out in the weather. If you guys remember, Mark sleeping on the side of the hill in the tent, waking up and there's snow on the tent. So and now he's got his cabin down there. So or the deer blind. So but I'd ever think about building supplies such as nail screws and other things we may need. Yeah, Dalbert, I have a lot of that down here already. Yeah, I do. And other group members have stuff as well. But yeah, those are also things that we are building up on, and we're taking care of those type of things as well. So, but right now we're trying to focus on certain things to have them where we want them to be. And once we have them in a better position, then we go on to other things. I mean, it's not forever. We're going to just keep getting more food, 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 food. There's going to be medical supplies. There's going to be other things that we want to have as a group to stock up on. So, you know, but so that's kind of where that is. We're going to do a egg count real quick. I know we're already over 9 o'clock here, so I don't care if we went over. It's no big deal because that screw up with it being gone there. But let's do an egg count, guys. So real quick again, if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, we're at 169. Let's see if we can hit 200 before we jump off here. So if you have not shot a thumbs up yet, please do so to show support for the channel, and I thank you ahead of time. Also, if you are not subscribed, please subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell icon to get all notifications as well. So I'll give you guys a minute to get your guesses in, and I will let you know who is correct and who is not. So we had chickens everywhere this morning. If you saw the video, you saw me corralling some of them back in, which we got everybody back in pretty easily, actually. It wasn't too bad. So, but Too funny. Too funny. And then of course we had the one that was already in, because when I opened the door to get the other four to get in there, she got back out. So, and then she was trying to give me a hard time, but we got there. All right. So if you had the same exact guess as Jenny Pendleton with 3 eggs today, and yes for Miss Betty White, then you are 100% correct. I was actually surprised that we got 3 eggs with all the trauma with the chickens, but they were like, hey, we know where the box is. We're going to go and lay. So that's what they did. So 3 eggs today. Yes for Miss Betty White. So that was awesome. So I was really happy about that. And, any day that we get eggs, yeah. So congratulations, Jenny. You've won absolutely nothing, but you are happy about it. So there we go. One of those things. So we got 178. We need what, 22 more thumbs up, guys. So let's see. Let's get those up there. Let's get to 200 before we jump off of here. Again, guys, it's about organization and being ready. And when the time comes, acting, not reacting. If your plan is to bug in, I'm obviously not going to dissuade you from bugging in, but just be ready for what may come from that. Okay. Because if you become a target, right? If you become a target of people that are unprepared, there's not a whole lot you're going to be able to do about that. It really isn't. You need to be, and again, you also need to be ready if you need to bug out. But again, where are you going to go? There's another group of people that I know down here that I've been talking with, and they're a family, and they're prepping as well. And and we've talked about coordinating, and that in that time, if that happens, then we can work together. Because again, we may not think of everything. Maybe they think of something that we haven't thought of, and we can barter with them without trying to kill each other. That's going to be important too, because there's going to be, excuse me, a lot of people that are not going to want to barter. They're going to want to take. And I said again, so we're at 189. We need 11 more, guys. 11 more thumbs up before we jump off of here, please. So if you haven't done so yet, please do so, and we will go from there. But you just gotta, like I said, having a game plan when the time comes. And again, honestly, I think right now we're in a slow spiral. I mean, the toilet drain is circling, and we're going down. Okay, that's where we're at right now. But when that whatever event it is jumps off, I think it's going to be 1 minute everything's great, the next minute, boom. And when that happens, you better be ready to do what you need to do. And that's something you got to think about. Someone had a break in, a dozen eggs missing, but there was a pan of warm water. Police believe it was a poacher. Oh my God, that's funny. That's funny. I like that, Okie Forge. And you look at the prices of eggs and trying to get chickens. I don't know if any of you have tried to go out and get chickens. There's a delay. Normally, if I go to Rural King, they always have chickens. Not now. As soon as those chickens are in, people are getting them, and they're taking them right away. So, you got to order them, and it might be, end of April before you get your chickens. So you got to think about that as well. If I have to, I got my incubators. I'll fire up the incubators, and we'll get baby chickens that way. What about a couple who don't want a wood stove because of the wife? They're going to with propane. That's fine if that's your choice, but you got to realize, Ray, that that propane will run out in time. Unless you got a whole bunch of propane. But even if you do, eventually you could. Yeah, if somebody wants to go with propane, they can do that. But you got to realize, in time, that propane will run out. And then what is your backup? So you might want to think about, if you're going to do propane as your main heat source, have a wood stove in there as a backup. Because again, eventually that propane will run out. That propane will run out. So we need 7 more thumbs up, guys. We're at 193. I'm going to ask just one more time here. Let's see if we get 7 more thumbs up. And so let's pop them on there and get us to 200. Like I said, I'll tell you, like, one of the things for me, what I've done I've told my daughter, if I call you and I say, get here now, I said, I don't care what you're doing, get here now. So that is what one of the things with her that I've talked about. We're at 198. We need two more, guys, two more thumbs up. So, oh, I definitely would rather have a wood stove. I would rather have a wood stove. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We got 200. Awesome. You guys are fantastic. Thank you. It's just a game, just for fun, But 4.79 a dozen for large eggs at our wholesale club in town today. Yeah, like I said, you should have everything that you can think of that you might want to have stocked up, stock it up. Kerosene lanterns, plenty of kerosene, oil lanterns, plenty of oil, whatever you think you need um, to be ready. And again, some people can't travel, and I get it. Okay, so you're going to have to bug in and try to do the best you can. In those situations, you want to try to keep as low a profile as you possibly can. And that's what you got to think about. Tools are hugely important because whatever you have is what you're going to have, and that's it. No more getting anything else. So those are things to think about as well. Anyway, guys, I am going to jump off of this one. So I do like 20 minutes on the first. It was like 22 minutes in when it doinked out on us. But so anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this makes people think. I always want to make sure that you guys are thinking and, and planning accordingly and being as ready as you can be. Because when the time comes, like I said, I'm going to leave you with this. When the time comes, you're going to have what you have. You're not going to want to try to go out there and get anything else because it's going to be very, very dangerous, and people are going to get killed really easily in grocery stores and drug stores, tool places, anything that's got any kind of supplies. People are going to be killing each other over what's there. So I would rather not be anywhere near those type of places when that time comes. I would rather have already prepared ahead of time and be as ready as we can be ahead of time. So when the time comes, you're going to have what you have, and that's what you got to think about. Guys, be safe, keep prepping, don't rest on your laurels, be as ready as you can be. I think when the time comes, it's going to be quick and it's not going to be fun. So have a great day. I will talk to you all later. Prep Nurse 1 out for now.